Hello there, Commonwealth from here. January left us without a Nintendo Direct, which was expected as we had Fire Emblem Engage. Well, that, and that everyone who has been following Nintendo in the last 4 years should know the following. February is when the first general Nintendo Direct of the year, so not mini or partner showcase, takes place. So let's dive into this February Direct. Well, first be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell, as we are aiming for 333,333 subscribers by May 12th to unlock our Zelda giveaway. With that out of the way, let's get down to business, as February is more than likely to deliver. Reason number 1 speaks for itself. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The game is less than 100 days away as of Wednesday, February 1st, and with it, the time for some serious marketing. We are talking trailer, and not any teaser trailer like we've had up to this point, but a real deal. A full-scale, 3-minute trailer packed with new content to analyze, dissect, and make topical videos on in the weeks and even months to May 12th. The launch is so close now that we can properly count days, and not just months, and the hype train is waiting for its next load of fuel. No doubt we're beginning to run empty, seeing that over 140 days have passed since the title and release date trailer. A trailer that delivered on 2 key details, but like the length and brand new gameplay that other Nintendo games have spoiled us with in the last couple of years. We are long overdue for this after waiting for a no compromises Zelda trailer over the last 1,330 days. No matter whether this is the most anticipated game, this secrecy is getting ridiculous, and it has to end at some point. End of January specifically, which I see as the final limit of how long you can go without talking and showing more of this game, period. Not only that, from this point on, this game should have at least one new update every month like any other Nintendo game coming out within the next 3 months. Alright, got that out of the system, so let's move down. A Nintendo Direct in the first half of the month would fit perfectly, as Sunday, February 12th marks for 3 months to the May 12th release date. The bigger question is when this Direct would take place. Based on the February Nintendo Directs in 2019, 2021 and 2022, we know one thing for certain. Nintendo really loves to host them on Wednesdays, just like the E3 Directs are on Tuesdays. There's a misconception going around that non-E3 Directs are on Thursdays, but as we can clearly see, only September Directs are sometimes on Thursdays, but also on Wednesdays, and last year on a Tuesday. Then again, in Japan, when the Directs air in February, it is usually Thursday, but that is beyond the point. As this key detail alone greatly limits our pool of Direct possibilities to Wednesday the 1st, 8th, 15th, or at the latest 22nd of February. In the Switch generation, the latest Nintendo Direct in February was held in 2021 on Wednesday, February 17th. Hence 22nd of February might be a little late and too close to Pokemon's own presentation, most likely on Pokemon Day, so Monday, February 27th. This is also around 1 month plus some weeks away from the most likely next big stop for Zelda, PAX East 2023, starting on Thursday, March 23rd. With all this in mind, and the fact that in the Switch generation a February Direct has always taken place on a Wednesday in the first 4 weeks of February, so Monday to Sunday, we can probably take our February 1st and remain with 2 equally plausible alternatives, February 8th and 15th. Both are Wednesdays and over a week away from the 2 big releases this month, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Octopath Traveler 2 on Friday, February 24th. We'll also be over a month from Bayonetta Origins, which is out on Friday, March 17th, and around 3 months away from Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. In other words, perfect timing for all these, plus potentially Pikmin 4 to receive new trailers and updates, but more so, reveal new previously unannounced games for the year. Which is kind of needed, as everything after May is empty on the Nintendo Switch, and so is the case with April. Pikmin 4 would fit very nicely in here, as it is the month of spring and blooming flowers. Naturally, that was a joke, but to be completely honest, this game could be released at any point in the year, minus maybe the final 3 months, as we need bigger sellers right there. The lack of releases in April is the biggest reason why I sincerely believe they will get a Nintendo Direct in February, as games need on average 2 months from reveal to release. We saw this with Nintendo Switch Sports last year, but this April is different for 2 key reasons. One is that Easter is late this year, Sunday, April 9th, and earlier the same week, we have the premiere of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, or at least in numerous countries, but not Japan for some reason. Which begs the question, could a February Nintendo Direct reveal a Mario game that ties to this film? It is definitely a possibility, seeing that just like last year, we entered this year without any Mario game on the horizon. The last February Direct gave us Mario Strikers Battle League for June, but this time we have far greater expectations. as Super Nintendo World Hollywood officially opens Friday, February 17th. In other words, this direct could also be used to promote it, serving as a fake-off to the actual game reveal. You know, just like they did in the September Nintendo Direct when Shigeru Miyamoto first talked about Pikmin Bloom before revealing Pikmin 4 for, well, 2023. Could Miyamoto show up on stage again to repeat that stunt of first detailing something smaller, followed by something bigger on the Nintendo Switch? I think it is definitely a possibility, either with the Super Nintendo World promotion, or far more fittingly to reveal the next Super Mario Bros. Movie trailer. Then follow it up with the first trailer of a rumored tie-in game, coming later this year. By October 29th, we have gone 6 years from the last full new Mario game release. The same month is also when the movie is expected to hit Netflix, as NBC Universal's Peacock will get it exclusively 45 days after the movie premieres, that is to say on Monday, May 22nd. That is long before E3 and Nintendo's Direct there. Hence, the time to reveal a potential movie tie-in game with trailer or teaser seems to be a February Nintendo Direct, and then have a big booth of it at E3, just like Super Mario Odyssey had at E3 2017. For an in-depth look on this possibility and Mario's gradual transition from ultra-linearity to the open world beginning from Super Mario 3D World in 2013, through Super Mario Odyssey in 2017 and Bowser's Fury in 2021, to our current position, well, 10 years after the decisive step away from Super Mario, check out the dedicated video in the card or end card. Though before we move on to other announcements, I will say the following about Mario. We will not go out of this Nintendo Direct without the reveal of some game with Mario in its title. I know, we didn't get a Mario reveal in the 2021 Nintendo Direct since Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury just came out a few days prior. But in 2019, we started the February Nintendo Direct with Super Mario Maker 2, so who knows? Perhaps we will open with a new Mario game in February 2023. You see, the first Nintendo Direct of the year has on average 2 game reveals, though last year we got lucky. Then again, 2 of them were incomplete at launch, but that is beside the point. Speaking of one of those types of games, the reported and assumed to be leaked at this point sequel to One to Switch. This game has not had the positive label with it though, so if it shows up, I see one of 2 options. Either a quick trailer to get it out of the way, or make it a part of a Nintendo Switch Online segment as a free title, when detailing when GoldenEye 007 Online and Wave 4 of Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass will be out. The answer to the last one is likely March, just like last year. Now then, we have one more rumor or leak left. Metroid. We've been waiting for Metroid Prime 4 since 2017, though I'm going to be honest, I doubt it is ready for this year following the restart in January 2019 and no proper work done before we hit the cursed 2020. It looks more and more likely to be a 2024 title, and then it might release on both the Nintendo Switch and a potential successor. One that will not be revealed in this Direct, since the Nintendo Switch has at least all of 2023 to look forward to. And since we are still on the topic of Metroid, we cannot avoid bringing up the rumored Metroid Prime remake. A title that could potentially run on the same engine as Metroid Prime 4. That one could be the 3rd game that could be revealed in this Nintendo Direct. Though we have to keep in mind that Nintendo loves to reveal Metroid games at E3 and then release them just a few months later in early fall. The exception from this rule has naturally been Metroid Prime 4. Hence, I will be surprised if we see any Metroid this early, as I think this one is being saved for the E3 Direct 4 months later. Other than that, we have the potential of Donkey Kong. However, we all know Mario has priority, especially this year, and with no new full-scale mainline Mario game in 6 years, it is more likely that Donkey Kong will be in this game rather than get his own title. Specifically, since there is apparently a Donkey Kong spin-off movie plan, and this one could also have a game of its own. To put it simple, Nintendo needs sellers at this point to keep the Switch relevant, and Pikmin 4, despite hype, isn't that big of a seller for Nintendo. So we pretty much need Mario at this point. But what about third-party games? Naturally, there will always be 1 or 2 surprises, either a port of a game from the previous decade or another exclusive tailor-made title for the Nintendo Switch. But right now, it is hard to point to what it would be. The reason is that we have pretty much entered a late cycle of the Nintendo Switch. If we consider that 2017, 2018 and 2019 made up the early cycle, 2020, 2021 and 2022 the middle years, and now 2023, 2024 and potentially 2025 being the closing years of the Switch. And that is pretty much what you need. You keep the announcements rolling and have the audience wait for Zelda once again until the end before Tears of the Kingdom shows up. I'll say right now, Tears of the Kingdom will most likely be the last entry in this Nintendo Direct presentation, just like its E3 2019, 2021 and the September 2022 Directs. Overall, I believe this could be a good Direct, but the uncertainty is tied to what Nintendo is revealing this early and what they are saving for E3, which is more likely to take place physically this year compared to what was the case early last year. But what do you think about the February Nintendo Direct? Will it happen? And in that case, how soon in the month? And which games do you expect to be shown and revealed for the first time? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell to push us closer to a subscriber goal and giveaway. Last but not least, a big thanks to all of you for watching until the end, and to all our patreon.com/CommonRun patrons, and in particular our raw producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.